Good morning. This is Mark Conway with Kitchen Inc. Food, and we are here with Dylan of Pendulum Fine Meats for our very first kitchen ambush. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So here at Pendulum, why did you decide to do a butchery in Ghent?
Well, we thought that we've been to a lot of bigger cities. We've lived in a lot of bigger cities. I come from a culinary background, and it was just something, part of the culinary scene that was missing was a whole animal butcher shop. We thought that the area was big enough to support it, so we thought this is something that we'd like to do. Make sausage, cut meat, do some other things.
And it's been really successful. It's a very popular place.
Yeah.
So every time I come in, one of the things that I'm most enamored by is hearing about all the stories. The locals come in, the same person comes in every day to get something. What's one of your favorite stories?
I think that we have a ton of great people that come in. I'm trying to narrow down a great story, or the characters that you meet is just it's a rewarding thing to ingrain yourself in the community, and your customers become your friends. So not that a certain story is standing out, but we've had people that want to get proposed in our shop. We've had numerous weddings that we've done just for customers that just want to have just our French fries. So a lot of those things are what makes it very rewarding for us.
So you're not just a business of the community, but you're part of the family of the community too.
Yeah, we try to be that. That's exactly what we wanted to do. From the outside of the business, when we first started, the big goals of it was to just be ingrained in the community.
Awesome. Well, part of what we're here for is Kitchen Ambush. Yeah. So what you don't know is we're going to bring in a local product.
Yep.
We're going to give it to you, and I'm going to give you 15 minutes to create a dish.
Okay.
So it could be anything, but something that showcases what you guys do here. But the beauty of it is it's a local product by a local chef making a local dish. It's all about locals for locals. So we're going to get started. We're going to have a little bit of fun with this.
All right.
We'll head into the kitchen, and we'll see where we go from here.
All right, cool.
All right, so now we're back in the kitchen, and this is your space you have here, and you don't know what the product is, but what protein or what ingredients do you think you're going to use to make a dish today?
Either probably steaks, chops. Those are some of our biggest selling things from the meat case that people love. They're also quick. The nice thing we like about them is you can get something, and I know this is quick format, so we're going to have something that we can sear off and then get plated within 15 or 20 minutes.
Perfect. So now, as we look through the kitchen here, what we're going to do is we're going to go to a product that's called Pennacook peppers.
Yep.
What I love about when I come in here is you have an entire section selling nothing but local products.
Yeah.
This is one of the products, and it's a Porch Party pepper jelly.
Yep.
And so you're going to have 15 minutes to create an awesome local dish using this product. So I'm going to give that to you.
All right, cool.
And kind of give you a couple seconds here to get set up, and then we're going to get started.
All right, cool.
As he's getting set up, one of the really beautiful things about all of the areas in Hampton Roads is we have a wealth of local product. We have a wealth of local ability to source goods from a local farm all the way to somebody making a pepper jelly and beyond. And that's going to be the point of Kitchen Inc. Foods Kitchen Ambushes, is to showcase what we have here that is special and unique, not just found somewhere in a large city. So while Dylan's moving around, he's pulling out some things he's going to use. He's got some white wine, some butter, some herbs, and then, of course, that Porch Party pepper jelly. As we do this, you're going to see from different restaurants, you're going to see from different chefs, different perspectives, so you never know what those dishes can be. And we're really excited to see what kind of dish Dylan puts together that you'll be able to enjoy at home, because you can come here to Pendulum, pick up the same, it looks like he's going to use chops, pick up the chops, pick up the pepper jelly, and recreate this dish or something just like it at home. And you never really can go wrong when you start off with Pinot Grigio. Pairs really well with chops. So I'm just going to go ahead and put out, these are the chops he's pulled out that he's going to use. And like I said, butter, herbs, pepper jelly. We're really excited to watch this kind of take place. If you've ever watched any of your favorite cooking shows, You know that there's a lot of hectic moves inside the kitchen as he's running around to pull things together, and it literally just kind of gives you that back door to what happens inside a restaurant. And most of us never get to see that. You've got to see some of it on things like your other Food Network type shows, but here, this is what is actually happening in your own backyard with a restaurant that you can come to, be part of, and really start to give back to the community by supporting each other. So we're really excited to see what Dylan's going to pull together. The other things that happen here at Pendulum are not just the butchery side of things. They have an amazing menu of sandwiches and meals you can get for lunch, because they're open for lunch. And then in addition to that, they do a CSA program of protein and do cooking classes. So it's a really fun time to be able to actually come in and not only get something to eat there, but also pull local product to take home. All right, so we've got some nice carrots. We've got some onions. He's going to start preparing his dish now.
Yeah, I'm going to do some julienne carrots. What I'm going to do is sear off a pork chop really nice. Just pretty simple. You know, if you want to bring this to the next level, I would say brining the pork chops would be awesome, but I think they're going to be great no matter what. They're just a really great product, great chops. But what I'll do is I'll sear them off really quick soon. And then we're going to make just a really quick and easy pan sauce from those searing off. Butter, white wine, pepper jelly. We'll put a lot of julienne carrots in there, and then we'll play with some julienne carrots and some charred scallions. Pretty much is the idea that came to me walking around the walk-in.
That's the best way to do it. It's where, same thing when you're at home and it's late night and you're looking for that perfect dish, something to eat. You open the fridge and see what's there. Now, what's special about your chops as far as it's not like going to the grocery store to get your chops?
So these are really nice. We cut these in-house, so they're bone-in. We leave them nice and thick. We leave a little bit of a fat cap on, but that can always be trimmed off. Just really rich. You can see the meat's a little bit more red than you would find in the grocery store. It's not that pale pink, but it's a darker color. These are pastured animals from North Carolina. They're never put in crates, gestation crates or anything like that. They're certified humane farms that we work with, and then we get them whole and we start cutting them into them. So they're just a really nice big chop.
Yeah, those are absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to see how this all comes together.
Yeah, like I said, the only thing, like if you wanted to put more time into it, the only thing I ever do to these chops different than what I'm doing now, great to take home and just go ahead and sear off. But they also take well to a brine, like to add a little bit of flavor to them. So
when you talk about a brine, how long do you normally brine your pork chops for?
So these, I would brine maybe 4 to 6 hours at the most. They'd be perfect.
Really let it permeate the meat.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, now he's going to cut down his carrots to get those ready to get under the heat. And literally, when you look at something like a pork chop, a lot of people are scared to use pork chops.
Yes.
They're afraid to get those. They're afraid they're going to make it dry.
Yep.
What would be the advice you'd pass on to somebody who's considering using pork chops?
Don't be afraid to undercook it. So we'll bring this thing to about 145 degrees, a good medium, and we'll leave it just ever so slightly pink in the middle. So that way it won't dry out. And really, pork, the fears of pork, of maybe grandma's fears of pork aren't what they used to be either. So they're perfectly fine every day or, on a very regular basis. We eat them at that medium. So.
And in Hampton Roads, this whole area is, food scene is really erupting quickly. And you hear on the media about how Raleigh's a big food destination, Charlottesville, of course, Boston, New York, areas like that. But realistically, there's nothing that you can't get here that you can get there.
Oh, that's true. Absolutely true.
So actually, we have a food destination thriving here that just nobody's heard of yet.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. Those bigger cities, obviously, besides population, the availability of ingredients definitely we can match anywhere. And that's a nice thing about living and working here. Once you get in this community, you figure that there's a lot of great things that are made in this area that are indigenous to this area or whatever. And we can get everything that a big city can get as well.
And I think what's great here is there's actually, even though we're 7 cities and it's a huge, vast area, and you have a lot of people that are afraid to go through tunnels and cross bridges, seeing people, purveyors, chefs, restaurants all working together are only going to make the entire community stronger.
Yeah, definitely. No. And there's definitely a rise of great purveyors. And the purveyors, some of the purveyors we use know the drill too now, and they're getting more savvy to the things that we want and need. So that's a great thing to happen.
That's excellent. Now, Some of the other things you do here, you have the CSA,
Yep.
you do classes.
Yep.
I was actually here the other night when you did the sausage class, and that's completely open to the public, and they come not only learn how that it's comes together and how those sausages are made, but actually get to take some home.
Yes. Yeah, the great thing about that is kind of demystify the process, especially with something like sausage where you think you know what sausage is like and how it's made. Take them into the class and they get to see that it's not all the unsavory parts of an animal, but some of the best parts of the animal that go into our sausage. And the process that it is to make it is actually really pure and really has a lot of tradition. So that's a great thing for people to see that, because sausage making always has a negative connotation. So we want to take that away from it.
It really does. People start to think of, you have a lot of people that compare a sausage and a hot dog, and it's really two totally different things.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you do your CSA, tell us a little bit about that.
So our CSA, we make up the contents of the box. So we pick local products, different kinds of meats, things that we put in there for people to purchase. They pick up their box, and it's loaded with recipes, how-tos, tips, and then also sourcing how we got something or how we picked this out, or different items like that. So it's a lot of fun. It's definitely for people who want to try new things, and a lot of different cuts that they've never even seen, or a lot of different products they've never seen. So the feedback on that is one of those things that we're really happy with. Everybody that's in the CSA, it's one of those programs that pretty much everybody's satisfied with, and you get a lot of great feedback with it, and they really end up enjoying it once they're in it.
So what I think is really great about that is they're not only getting fantastic product, not your typical, overproduced big plastic label on it, but really good product, but they're also getting an education and an opportunity to get back into the kitchen with their families.
Yes, and that's a big thing. That's another thing that we really wanted to do a lot of here in this business when we started. It was to get people around their table again and having fun with cooking instead of seeing it as a chore, because a lot of times it is a chore. So we try to just any way that we can to ease that up, to make it easier for people to already have the recipes made, already have everything they need on hand to do something fun and different. So
and I think it's always fun too to when you talk to people about recipes, they're so concerned with, well, I can't cook because if I do this recipe and I miss something or I don't understand, the recipe is just a guideline.
Yeah.
I've always looked at it as just a starting point, and the most fun way to cook in a kitchen is not have something on the recipe and switch it out for something else.
Yeah. No, that's definitely it. I mean, most recipes are precisely that, or just something to kind of go by and to see what you can substitute. It is always fun to kind of substitute different things for things that you might not have on hand.
Absolutely. I think it's a blast. Now, you've got your carrots julienne, you're cutting down your onions now. Once this process here is finished, about how long do you think it's going to be to actually putting this on a plate and ready to eat?
About 10 to 15 minutes from here. We should be moving along pretty quickly after this.
Fantastic. Now, how much have you done with the Pennacook peppers before? How did you come to
that's just a classic Southern staple. Pepper jelly and cream cheese and crackers at every grandmother's party.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's always there.
So the nice thing about that, baked brie, we've done a couple of things with that before. But yeah, this pork chops we've done. I like the sweet component with pork chops, so it just pairs naturally. That we're gonna give this a try and see how it comes out.
And not just using your local sourcing for your products and stuff inside the restaurant.
Yep.
You've really taken care to sell products inside your restaurant here that are from local sources.
Yeah, like we say, if there's somebody with local products, most of them we've met and we've seen, and we will give anybody a try or a shot as far as, as long as they're licensed correctly or whatever it might be. But if it's something that they want to bring in, I'm always game to try something out and see how it sells and how it moves.
Awesome. Well, let's get to cooking.
We're just going to get that thing red hot and let that thing get blazing out.
Now, why is that? Why do you want to make sure that is
just
scorching
to get a really, really nice sear on the meat, so we get a lot of good color on it.
And what's the importance of putting sear on the protein?
So there's a lot of flavor that's enhanced when you get a really nice crust of browning on it. And then it just, a lot of people, this could be debated probably forever as whether or not it seals in anything, but it really is all about the color. So appearance is big, and then flavor of just that crispiness on the outside.
It gives you that great texture.
Yep.
How much fun is it to have people all over you with cameras and everything? How much fun is it to have everybody all over you with cameras and everything while you're cooking?
Everybody in the kitchen loves it. The staff loves it.
All right, so just a little, your basics, your salt and pepper.
Yep.
Now you're going pretty generous with your salt and pepper on the protein.
Because a lot of it's going to come off. So I like to say, don't be afraid to be too aggressive with the salt. Just because, salt is such a great flavor.
And you have so many people afraid of salt because you've seen so many things in the headlines about it. But, realistically, it's a major piece of the cooking.
It is. And when it comes to things like putting stuff on the grill or even sautéing, you'll see that a lot of it, so much of it comes off. So it's not really a worry to put too much on there.
It's something that
Every culinary school you get is always add more salt. This is wonderful, but add more salt.
And they talk about layering the flavor.
Yes,
so every time you add another component to a dish, it's re-salt and peppering the dish.
Yeah, that thing's starting to smoke a little bit.
Yeah, you can definitely see the steam coming off of that.
I'm going to try to char these up real fast before we get started on anything else.
All right, so you're going to char up the onions, get a little color, get a little sweetness out.
Yep. Just also to add something else on top, nice blackened or charred onions on top of this. We'll put this on top of the pork chops when we're done.
Now, why did you decide to go with those?
I really like onions. I like the depth of flavor that they add to everything, so we just wanted to, I thought it'd be something fun to add to it.
And great color.
Yeah, definitely. I want that contrast in color.
Yeah, that pan is definitely scorching hot.
Yeah.
Now, I see you've got the white wine out.
Yep. I'm going to deglaze after I get these pork chops seared off. So I'll sear those off and then deglaze. Just taking any of the things that have stuck to the pan and just getting it unstuck from the bottom with the white wine. And then we'll just add some butter, kind of thicken it up, richen it up a little bit, and we'll add a little bit of, a good amount of the pepper jelly to it. And then what I'll do is after that's starting to go down, we'll just start to reduce that. I'll add the julienne carrots to that, almost like a glazed carrot. And then what we'll do is we'll take those, we'll pick them out of the pan, we'll set those out on the plate while we're plating, and then we'll put the pork chop on top of those glazed carrots, and then we'll pour the rest of the sauce all around the plate.
And the great thing about putting that pork chop down on top, any juices that come from that pork chop will go right into those carrots.
Really nice.
And just add another layer of flavor.
Yeah, sweetness is always a great thing with pork chops too. That's why I like carrots. I thought they were kind of on the sweeter side of a vegetable. You used to always pork chops and applesauce, so that's always a common thing. We're just going to go straight into here.
All right, just put some oil into the pan.
Yeah, right on the bottom. Just enough to cover the entire pan, though. All the peaks and valleys in meat, we want it in constant contact with either the pan or the oil. So it gives you a nice brown color on it. Don't be afraid of this thing being too hot. Because all we're doing really is searing it off. We're not fully cooking it or anything like that. We're going to move that to a sizzle platter and then throw it in the oven.
So a sear on top and then throw down to finish in the oven.
Yep. We'll sear them on both sides. Like I said, this is a nice, quick process.
You got the heat cranked on high, pan scorching hot, layer of oil, and then you really get that nice color on that pork chop in a really quick amount of time.
Yeah, in a really quick amount of time, and then we're going to finish these in the oven till they're that 145 internal, medium temperature. So that way we ensure that they don't dry out.
Which is one of the things with pork chops. People love to throw them in a skillet, cook them on a stovetop, but then they're trying to finish it on that stovetop.
Yeah.
And that's what's really starting to dry things out.
Yeah.
All right, so now you just added some herbs.
Yep, just threw in some rosemary in there. You can smell it right away. It's just a beautiful smell. Thyme, any kind of herb. That's just like a habit that I have, I think, just throwing it in the pan with stuff.
Gives you some great aromatics, add some flavor. Really kind of helped to incorporate into that pan sauce.
Yep. We're going to take all of this pretty much like that.
All right, so now you're putting your herb on top of the pork chop, your charred onions on the pork chop, and all of that will go into the oven to finish.
Yeah.
And inside your pan, you have those little bits and pieces you've talked about, a little bit of the salt, and so some remnants from the onions and the herb, and that's how you're going to put everything for your pan sauce.
Yeah. So this will be ready to go right on the plate when we're done, just like that. I'll show you in a minute.
All right, he's just putting in the chops into the oven, or he's going to let that finish while the pan sauce is coming together and reducing down.
So this we will take and we'll drain out just the oil while it's hot. You see how much salt actually came off in there?
Yeah, plenty.
So there's a lot of salt that comes off, which will just add nicely, but we pour a lot of that out. And now there's still all the bits and crispy bits there from the searing. So
But
what
you
we're
just
going
don't
to do?
want to end up having that oil inside your sauce.
Yeah. A good amount of white oil.
There's your entertainment value for cooking in the kitchen, some live fire.
Yeah.
And now all that alcohol is going to cook out, and you're going to end up with the flavor.
Yeah. So all that is like what they call in French cooking the fond. So the fond is on the bottom of the pan. You can see how that white wine turns like this light brown, beautiful brown color, caramel. Now we're going to reduce the heat a little bit. But we got everything off the bottom of the pan, so it's nice and clean.
And that's going to be the basis for your
Yep.
sauce.
And then we're going to throw in some butter. A couple of tablespoons, not too much.
So a very traditional pan
just
sauce.
finishing it off, yep, with some butter. We're going to let this melt and get kind of thickened up a little.
Even a little bit of fat.
Yep. Adds that really nice richness.
You really can't go wrong with butter.
No, you can't. You definitely can't. Especially classic like French technique or cooking, butter's everywhere.
And that's the thing, again, it's a natural product. The body knows
Yeah.
what to do with it. Little salt, little butter,
Yeah.
everything in moderation.
Yeah, definitely. And by the end of this, 2 tablespoons of butter in there, you'll probably end up with on your plate maybe a half a tablespoon or so when it's all said and done. Unless you're just really drinking up this sauce.
All right, so we have some Facebook questions. Can you tell us what kind of oil you use? And
Vegetable oil.
Vegetable oil, and what temperature for the oven?
Temperature what?
For the oven?
350.
So we've had some questions come in from Facebook that you were answering. Basically, 350 on the oven temp, and what type of oil, which ended up being the vegetable oil.
Yeah, vegetable oil.
Now, why wouldn't you use something like an olive oil?
So olive oil is has a low smoking temp, so it will not withstand that kind of heat before it starts to break down. So you'd want to use any kind of very, very clear oil, non-colored oil. So we use like corn oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, and then a lot of times you can find it. It's a little harder to find, but you can find like a light virgin olive oil that's actually good for searing off things.
And now you've added, what, about a couple tablespoons of the Pennacook?
Yeah, and I'm just going to play this by ear until it's as thick and as like rich color as I want it. And you can see just nice and reducing down.
And the nice thing, it's not about being an exact science. It's
Yeah.
about doing this how you want, what flavors
Yep.
we work, and it doesn't have to necessarily be something like a Pennacook peppers. You could usually actually putting in a jelly out of the refrigerator.
Yeah. So like, there's definitely this would be great with lamb, like a mint jelly, things like that too. So easy like pan sauce is a really nice thing.
So what's nice is just knowing the fundamentals of how something works, not necessarily an exact recipe.
Yeah, exactly. And then trying those different things, and even like staying in classics, but sweet with pork is always nice. Mint with lamb is always nice, and just trying any variation of those things that you can find.
And you incorporate that a lot into the brats and sausages that you make.
Yeah, definitely.
To take non-traditional ingredients but word in traditional dishes like your banh mi sausage.
Yeah, yep.
What brought that one to life?
We just really wanted to incorporate everything into a sausage. We try to do that with a lot of different things. So yeah, you can see this coming up to a nice glaze.
And you just put all your handful of your julienne carrots in.
Carrots, because we always need vegetables. We're just going to let these cook for a few minutes until they're nice and still have some crunch in them, but they're also noticeably cooked.
What I liked is that you, instead of using a knife to try to get your julienne carrots, you used a peeler.
Yeah.
And still get the same effect, so somebody at home doesn't have to be afraid of my knife skills aren't great.
Yeah.
You just get the right tool.
No, definitely. I like those. We like those julienne peelers just because they're quick. And most of the time for like this use, we're going to just make a big nest underneath the pork chop anyway.
Right.
And then we're just going to, so it doesn't have to be like perfect juliennes, like at a certain length or anything. Just a nest of carrots that. And the other thing that I liked about that, or like about it, is that it cooks up very quick. You know
And you
what I
brought it up to a nice simmer.
Yep.
And now you're just letting it all
Yep.
reduce down together.
mean? So we should be ready to plate here in a minute.
favorite part of the dish.
Yeah.
It's got a beautiful sheen to it, great color. The carrots have loosened up to where they've got some pliability to them, and that's just going to enhance all that sweetness that you get naturally out of carrot.
And you're going to get a lot of spice from that pepper jelly, so it's going to be a nice, really good flavor.
And sugar and pepper are the two things that kind of balance out. So you can use that natural
and
sugar.
And that little bit of acidity, too, from the white wine, it's like going to be perfect.
So you're not going to get just punched in the face with what's hot.
Yeah.
You're going to have a nice creep to it.
For tasting spoons.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's a beautiful color, too.
Yeah, it really is. We'll bring it over and see if we can get the, not smell-o-vision engaged, but you can at least get an idea of that color. It's a beautiful color. And even better flavor. You really do get the pepper, but there's so much natural sugar that's just kind of balancing that beautiful without being too sweet.
Yeah, exactly. All right. The only thing we're going to wait on is these things to cook.
So now checking the porks, the chops in the oven, seeing about where they're going to be. You said you're going to go to about 140, 145 degrees?
Yep. Not quite there yet.
And again, you said one of the keys is don't have to be afraid to undercook the pork chop.
Yeah.
You know, when you're growing up as a kid, pork chops are that thing that,
We overcook all the time.
I mean, an overcooked pork chop is one of the just most bizarre textures.
Yeah.
Now just temping out the pork chop, kind of get an idea of where it is and what's going to be. The carrots are beautiful. They're broken down, but still are going to have some bite and crunch to them. And you really can't go wrong with those onions.
Yeah. 4 minutes and we're ready to go. So
perfect.
Anything else in between there? We're just going to let those go. This is going to, the cast iron pan is nice because it'll keep it hot for another 15 minutes at least. And then we'll just plate up.
And now another question a lot of people like to ask, what is your favorite dish to cook and eat? Doesn't have to be fancy. That could be.
Yeah, I was going to say it usually isn't fancy. The guys will tell you every day I eat ham and cheese almost religiously for lunch every single day. That's usually pretty quick, easy, and I just like ham and cheese with pickles. That's one of my go-tos every day for lunch. Burgers, I can never skip on a good burger.
And it's funny. It's hard to find a good burger a lot of times.
Yes, it is. The burger is a weird animal in that it's highly subjective. So, one person's great burger is another person's so-so burger.
Right.
So that's definitely a thing about burgers. That's why it's hard to take them on sometimes because you can think it's the best burger personally, and then nobody else really likes it the way you like it.
Yep.
So that's why the best burgers are usually the ones that you can build your own.
Right.
Because I might like mayonnaise and pickles and barbecue sauce on my burger, but those things to you sound disgusting. So that's why the nice thing about a burger, though, is that it is an open palate, so it's like kind of anything you want to add to it.
And you're seeing burgers come out with all kinds of things.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite things is get that egg on top.
Yeah. I definitely like an egg on top of burgers. Probably not all the time, but I do love a good fried egg on top of burgers is one of the favorite things.
Perfect. What do you think is the one takeaway people should have about coming to a local establishment like yours, picking out local products, even going, picking out the Pennacook pepper jelly? What's something that they really need to understand about here that's something they should do?
I think, I guess the big misconception about local products a lot of times is that they're more expensive than the counterpart.
Right.
And often isn't the case. Sometimes it is the case, but for good reason. So either way, I think that it's a win-win. If it's more expensive than a normal product at the grocery store, it's probably because it's not mass-produced, it's not using exploited labor, it's not doing something like that, or it's very, very close in price, and so it's a win-win because you're supporting a local economy or somebody that you might have met or know. So all those things are a win-win either way.
And so instead of seeing that dollar that they worked for, they live here, they buy here, they spend here, now that dollar stays here instead of going somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely an important part of the whole puzzle.
Awesome. I think we're getting pretty close. Facebook fans want to see the jelly. All right, we've got Porch Party Pepper Jelly from Pennacook Peppers.
All right, so Facebook fans also want to know, are you looking for a finishing temp of 145 or pulling them out at 145 and letting it rise?
Yeah, letting it rise. So we'd pull it out at 145, 140 to 145, and you can let this rest. It'd be nice to let it rest, but it's not necessary if you're just going to eat it right on the plate.
And because you have carryover cooking. That's a misconception. People think they need to cook all the way to finished in a pan, even though when you take it off the heat, it's going to continue cooking.
Yes.
All right, now we got plating. We're building that nest. So instead of bird in a nest, we're going to have pork in a nest.
Yes.
So pigs can fly.
Yes, they definitely can fly. So
And those
good
carrots
amount.
just have so much color and richness.
Yes.
They've got a sheen to them from the pan sauce. And now here comes the pork chop.
Put that right there. Now we'll just take some more of this.
Now you pull the carrots out, you're going to just put a little bit of the pan sauce on top. Again, adding more color, more flavor. I'm really glad to be on this end of this,
Yeah.
where it's I get to come, talk, watch you work, and then still get to eat.
One more for good measure.
Can't go wrong.
All right. That's it.
All right, we got a finished chopped. This is now a local product
Yeah.
with a local chef making an incredible local dish that you could really do at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely at home. I mean, you can pretty much see how easy it is, and not being afraid to get back in the kitchen.
I think probably the best thing we could pass on from something like this is do it with family, do it with friends,
Yeah.
have a great time,
Yeah.
and always go local.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice. Nice.
Let's
Everything
cut
about that is great. Yep.
Now let's cut into this. So how often do you use pork chops when you're cooking?
We probably have pork chops once a week.
Nice.
We have a lot of different things. I need a fork too, or a couple of forks. Yeah, probably once a week because there's a lot of parts of the pig that we still like a lot of too. So there's many other pieces that we could do, and this would go great with not just chops, but like the pork flank, which is the secreto, things like that. Anything that would be a quick grill would be great for that.
And that's another thing I've noticed when you come here, you can also get that understanding and that education behind what the cuts of meat actually mean.
Yes.
Not
yeah.
just everybody knows what a ribeye is, so you have to buy a ribeye, but there's some other cuts of the meat that'll give you very similar profiles to the ribeye for half the price.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So the first thing I noticed when you're cutting in this, it's juicy, it's moist, it has some give.
Yep. Slightly, ever so slightly pink right there in the middle. So here, that's for you. Get some carrots and some onions on there.
Oh, absolutely.
There we go.
Perfect. You're going to dive into this too?
Yep.
I mean, I wish you were here when you're watching something like this, because you don't grasp. You saw everything, how simple he was to put that together, but then to see what this looks like and see that it's just perfectly cooked.
Yeah.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, that is nice. Everything's going together really well.
I mean, you have that stigma about a pork chop that when you bite into it, you're going to chew on it for 15 minutes before it goes anywhere. But this was just perfect.
Yeah, good. Well, this was a lot of fun.
It was. I want to thank you for being on. Thank you for
Of
showing
course.
that you support local, just
Yeah.
like the people can come and support you. And we couldn't have had more fun.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Every time. Check us next time for the next Kitchen Ambush. We'll be at another restaurant, local restaurant, with a local chef, a local product, making a local dish. Look for us everywhere. And please don't be afraid to send in comments and questions. We've had a great time.